Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back, joined by the ladies of One Tree Yoga, both the owners. Gabe Hop, Alison Teague is joining us live here on the podcast and Zoomcast from Omaha, Nebraska, talking more about their company. Again, it's One Tree Yoga. And again, they have 2 locations in the Omaha, Nebraska area, but they're also here to let you know, hey, they're available worldwide. So no matter where you are listening from, tune in. We're going to talk yoga, meditation, and all that they do. Let's have the ladies introduce themselves to start. Go ahead.
Great. I'll start. Sure. So yeah, like you said, I'm Alison. Gabe is also here, and we co-own One Tree Yoga together. We've been owners almost for 5 years now, but both of us have been teaching yoga for well over a decade at One Tree and other places. And so we love yoga and are always looking to share it with as many people as possible.
Wonderful. And Gabe?
Let's see what else to say. We're excited to talk about meditation today. We consider meditation a part of the yoga experience. And so Alison and I are both longtime meditators and excited to bring this practice to the podcast today.
Wonderful. Exciting to have you both here. And again, it's onetreeyoga.com. That's your website. And did you want to share social media pages as well?
Sure. Yeah. We're on all social media, Instagram, Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel, One Tree Yoga, where you can find varying lengths of classes, different kinds, also several options for meditation. So we've got some short, longer meditations on our YouTube channel as well. And of course, that's free. So that's a good way to access us. Otherwise, like you said, our website is where you can see our class schedule and kind of read about our teachers and styles of yoga that we teach and about our studio in general.
Beautiful. And today we're going to talk about meditation. Let's start off with basic though. What is meditation and why should we meditate?
Yeah, it's a great, great question. So meditation takes many forms. There are an infinite number of ways to meditate, but meditation is really just taking, even if it's just a moment, taking a moment to X number of moments to sit or lay down or stand up and pay attention to whatever is happening. So it's a practice of mindfulness in the moment. Yeah, easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, there are an infinite number of ways to meditate, but it is such a beneficial practice. And when we take the time to meditate, it really helps us to get in touch with ourselves. It's a practice of paying attention to what thoughts are arising, what judgments are arising, what your reactions are, what your breath is like, what your body feels like. I mean, there's, an infinite number of ways to meditate. There's an infinite number of things to pay attention to while you're meditating. And so it's a practice of getting in touch with yourself, of tapping into your rich internal world. Often we are, especially if you're extroverted, often we are in interactions with other people. Even when we're by ourselves, we're distracted by our phone or a book or something that we have to do. And so this is really intentional about you're by yourself, but you are paying attention to you. So development of your getting in touch with you. It is really beneficial to cultivate a sense of calm and presence and potentially peace, and just the ability to be in quiet, to enjoy, hopefully, ideally, you can do it in a quiet setting and just to take the time to enjoy that. And again, societally, that's not really something that is readily available. We're just busy running around all the time, doing. And so this intentional, quiet, calm peace. It's a practice of discipline. So just like yoga, the more often you meditate, the better, your results will be. The more you practice, the more able you'll be to access those spaces of calm and quiet and peace. And but the discipline of, okay, I'm going to I'm going to do this every day, even if it's for 1 minute. I'm going to do this every Wednesday. That intentional schedule setting and sticking to it is a great way to build your personal discipline. It's a nice time to just like be with feelings of gratitude, or to cultivate feelings of contentment. Like, okay, I'm just okay with whatever is happening right now. Sometimes I will, if I get my feathers really ruffled, and I'm having a hard time calming down, I will just like get on my meditation cushion, sit down, get present, and cultivate like a sense of okayness. Like, all right, I got anxious, or I got, uncomfortable, but like this is just part of life, and I am going to be okay with what is. And lastly, it's just a really nice thing to do for yourself, like to take intentional time for yourself. Like, it's self-care. I would definitely categorize it as self-care, and really
Which,
important self-care if you can make time
well, it
for it.
seems like it's doing you well. You seem
Yeah,
calm,
thanks.
relaxed. You got things together. You got some great energy today. You're on a roll, Gabe.
Hey,
Really.
She's
thanks. All
Uh,
going.
right.
hey, I'm sure Allison too. She's gonna roll. Who wants to talk about maybe a little bit about the science behind meditation? Can you explain that?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to. I wanted to mention too, with what Gabe was saying, it's, meditation is a part of yoga. And in fact, what often sort of gets forgotten in yoga, when what we think of as yoga in the modern world, right, is like making all these shapes and, bendy pretzels. But that really, when we look back historically, ancient yogis were doing these poses as a way to prepare their body to sit and meditate. So like meditation was the goal, and all that other stuff was like the preparation for. And so sometimes I think we get it a little bit backwards here, where it's like, do all these cool poses. That's the goal. Meditation's an afterthought. And we always try to sort of drill home at One Tree Yoga that like the sitting quiet sort of stillness piece is actually really, really important. Like Gabe said, there's a million reasons why it's great. And, one of those being that it actually does really great things for the brain and for the body. The science is sort of out there. There's been, a ton of studies on, studying what happens when people meditate to their brains compared to people that don't. It can actually like help increase our attention span, our ability to focus and concentrate. Like Gabe said, that's sort of part of the puzzle, but it can actually like increase gray white matter of the brain, like the things that help us make decisions, or how we can sort of think quickly on our feet, our ability to do those things. So like as we age, that can become more difficult. And so when they study the brains of people that like have been regularly meditating versus those haven't, there's actually like shifting that happens in the brain. And I think that to me alone is like, sign me up for that. Like, I don't care how hard it is, I want to do it. So I think that's worth knowing too, that like the science really backs it up. It's not just us saying it's this magical thing.
And by the way, when it comes to meditation, I told you this a while ago. Then we first started talking, but I was always told to meditate, relax. I have a girlfriend who's a yogi, and she's always meditating. And I was like, I don't have time. I don't have time. And I thought I needed like an hour, half hour. So you could start with 5 minutes. And so I can
Totally.
meditate for 15 minutes now. That's good enough for me. I feel
Totally.
good, right? But and that's another thing. People put this time frame on it. No, you can meditate in baby steps and start small because it still feels good, right?
Of course. It's like Gabe said, even just taking a minute to like gather yourself is
Regroup.
really, really valid. Of course.
Yeah.
It's also more valuable to, meditate for 2 minutes with regularity than like once a week for 45 minutes, like just again, that's kind of
Consistency
the
is better.
discipline thing. The
Yep.
consistency is what's going to get you somewhere, rather than like, oh, I did this one really long sit.
Long one. Right.
Wonderful. And did you want to discuss maybe some different types of or ways to meditate in a sense, right? Because there's some that are more formal than others, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we thought we would talk today about the two types of meditation that we use in our teacher training program. Like I said, there's like so many ways to meditate, but we've kind of narrowed it down to two that we think are really effective. So We read two books in our teacher training program, and one is like a formal meditation book, and one is an informal meditation book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to talk a little bit about the formal process of meditation. So this is from the Buddhist tradition. The book that we read is called Mindfulness in Plain English. It's a super accessible read, and it's a super great guide if you're wanting to start a formal meditation practice from a
Okay.
book. So the type of process, the process is called Vipassana, and it's a Sanskrit word. And if we break it down to the root words, Vi means like inner or inside, and Pash, PAS means to see. And so Vipassana suggests that it's a practice of seeing inside ourselves, right? It's getting to know ourselves better. And so we tie this into the yoga tradition, the yoga formal meditation tradition, which is a practice of paying attention. And so
Okay.
you choose a focal point. In yoga, it's typically the breath because it's always happening, it's always going in and out, and you put your attention there.
Okay.
And you put your attention there, and you put your attention there, right? And the mind is going to get pulled away an infinite number of times, like, what am I having for lunch? When's my next vacation? What's on my to-do list? La la
Yep.
la.
Mm-hmm.
And you lovingly, consistently bring your attention back. Okay, I'm following the breath. I'm paying attention to the breath. And the process of honing concentration is really what is getting into the like positive brain effects that Alison was talking about. We're retraining our brain to be mindful. And when we're mindful, then we can also really pay attention to like the quality of our thoughts. What is our brain up to? What is our brain like talking to us about? In the Buddhist tradition, they have a term called the monkey mind, which is the mind that's flitting around from
All
one
over the
thing to the
place,
next,
scatter
right?
like a
All over the place.
scatterbrain. Okay.
Exactly. And so we're just encouraging ourselves to come back to the moment over and over again. And you can be really rigid with it. There are schools that are rigid with it, but we're not. We're like, be gentle with yourself. This is a lifelong practice, and it shouldn't be forced.
The
So
style Gabe, sorry, I'm interrupting you really quick. The style
that's okay.
she's talking about is a really great, I think you can see why it's a really great pairing for like the physical postures we do, right? It's like this really great opportunity when students are in a pose, it's like to keep reminding them to come back to their breath, like notice how they feel in the pose, notice their breath. So it really goes well with the physical practice of yoga, I think, as a way to create mindfulness. That's really what we're after.
We also couple it with a practice for the body. So and this ties really well into what Alison was saying. The practice for the body is called shamatha.
Okay.
And a shamatha practice it basically means to settle down, or to cultivate serenity. And so we do these little for the body where we're like, relax your jaw, soften your eyes, relax your throat. And we do those not only in a seated meditation practice, but we also do them in yoga postures. So, like you can do a great, triangle pose, but then you're gripping your teeth and your breath is really, rigid. And it's like, no, like cultivate serenity within the effort.
Got it. And on the other approach end of things, there's more of a relaxed form of mind. Would you say type of meditation that we could do?
Yeah, so the other sort of style we teach in our program, and even as teachers in general, is like Gabe said, a more informal approach. We first sort of learned about this. We have a meditation teacher, both of us, that he would travel to Omaha and give lectures, and he wrote a book. His name's Dean Slider. He's wonderful, and he wrote a book called Natural Meditation. I think there are forms of this taught, like Gabe said, to varying degrees, but he was sort of the first one I saw taught in this way.
Okay.
And it is very much meant to be effortless, as the name implies, natural. I think what freaks people out about meditation is, like you were saying, it's like, I have to do it this long and it needs to be done in this way. And it has to be, it's like, we want to be able to do it right, quote unquote. And his approach is that there like isn't a right way, and that sometimes the effort that we put in actually makes the whole experience less peaceful. And the point is that we're trying to cultivate more peacefulness. He uses this analogy. I think it's even the picture on the front of his book of this feather, like as naturally as a feather would just float to the ground. Like that's kind of what we're after. And
Oh,
so his approach is very much like, you can sit, you can lay down, you can be in the car, you can be standing in the kitchen. Like there is no like formality to sort of how your body needs to be in space. And that ultimately you can meditate on any one point. Like Gabe talked about in the Vipassana tradition, it's often the breath. Dean would say you could do meditation on a breath. You could also do the sky. You could do yourself. You could do really anything that you want to sort of focus on in that moment. And so I think the beauty of that is sort of having these different approaches. Is it appeals to different people. Like some people like the looseness of the natural approach. It's like, okay, the pressure's off, I can just like sit in my
yeah.
car while I'm waiting to pick my kids up from school, and I can do my meditation. And some people prefer like a more formal structure to it, but either way there's like a way to meet everybody. And I think that's kind of what's beautiful about it. It's like pick your poison and just do the thing.
Can you give us an example? I don't know, Gabe, did you want to share maybe the formal meditation? Could you do a short version of that?
Absolutely. Maybe we can start with formal meditation and then Allison can take over and go into
Sure.
the more free form. Yeah. Okay. So wherever you are, take a comfortable position, whether it's seated or lying down, and close your eyes. And so take a moment to just relax into the space of your body. Sense if you're holding tension anywhere that you can let go of. Specifically, come to the mouth, bring your attention to your mouth, and most likely your tongue is pushed up into the roof of your mouth. You want to drop it down into the base of your mouth. So unglue your tongue from the roof of your mouth, settle it down in the base of your jaw, and then make sure that your teeth aren't clenching. So slightly part your teeth and let the whole space of your mouth relax. Soften your eyes and your eye sockets. Relax the skin of your forehead. And let your shoulder blades soften and release down your back. Start to feel the brush of your breath as it's coming in and out of your nostrils. So we'll just breathe in and out of the nose here, unless you're stuffed up. And as much as you can, sense the entirety of your breath coming in and the entirety of your breath going out. And again, the mind is going to get pulled away. That's just the nature of the mind. And so the practice is, it's simple theoretically. The practice is bring your attention back to your breath. Feel your breath coming in. Feel your breath going out. Now, I often find that it's actually more accessible for me if I attach a word to it. So mentally, you can say to yourself, inhale as you take breath in, exhale as you move breath out. Let's try it for like a minute. So keep your attention on your breath. As you watch the breath, try to keep those easy, soft releases in the body. Let's take just a few more breaths in this way, watching the breath coming in, watching the breath going out. And then Alison can move us into the more natural style.
Great. So let's keep this up. Well, like I said, we can sort of meditate on whatever, but we'll stick with the breath since that's what Gabe is doing. So if you're comfortable sitting where you are, stay there. If you would prefer to like lay down or put your head on the table or the desk, right? Anything else that's comfortable, do it. And don't, worry too much about how you're sitting, where you're sitting or laying. Just sort of be in a shape that works. And keep eyes closed for just a few moments. And if it feels like there's any parts in the body that sort of need to be loosened up or moved around, fine. But ultimately, you don't have to do anything, right? And then just sit for a little while. Just let everything be how it is. Remembering there's really nothing for you to have to do about anything. And regardless of whether I tell you to do it or not, you're breathing anyway, right? So check into that breath and just take a breath in and out. Don't need to do anything special to it. It doesn't need to be deep or long. It's just like a breathe how you want. And maybe you just notice, like, how do you feel? What do you notice when you breathe in? And how do you feel? What do you notice when you breathe out? Maybe do that for a couple more breaths. And then as Dean would always say at the end of his meditations, he would say, that's it. You're done. Seriously, you're done. That's it. It's so simple. So you're done for real.
I feel relaxed. And I never realized you're so right. My tongue was pushed up against the roof of my mouth.
Yep.
My teeth
Almost
were
everyone's
clenched.
is.
I'm like,
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
wow, just that feels good. And that was what, 5 minutes? Not even? Maybe.
Yeah,
Wow.
not even.
Oh my
Super
goodness.
simple and so effective, right? I mean, I feel super calm too.
But now, did you guys want to share a little bit about your own meditation journeys next?
Yeah, I think it's nice to kind of connect to like a personal story when you're, on the fence about if you can or want to meditate. So I started meditating actually because my first teacher training program for yoga required a meditation practice. And so that was back in the summer of 2008. And I actually learned from this book, From Mindfulness in Plain English. So this kind of formal style of sitting. I read it, I did the practices, and it was really disciplined, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes every day. I would set a timer, and I would sit up straight, and I would try to keep my straight posture, and I would try to keep my attention on my breath. And so I did that type of meditation for, I would say, a good 2 years. That sort of like training the mind to like, concentrate and be present before eventually I started to kind of let go of that. I've tried several types of meditations, but after that more formal training, I really just enjoy the more natural kind of open sitting. So every morning when I wake up, I have to do it first thing because as soon as my kids get up, I'm in mom mode. So I get up and I literally sit on the pillows in my bed and I just like take my first however long I have, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to myself, and just enjoy and breathe and be quiet.
Yeah, it's similar for me too. I think there's something to be said about like the formal practices can be a really great way to like establish that consistency, because to me that's the thing. It's like, even if it's just for a couple of minutes, I find that I get more out of like making that time daily. And we're all moms here, we're all busy. Like some days I have more time than others, but fine, at least I've taken that couple of minutes at whatever point. So yeah, I'm like Gabe, where now I sort of enjoy a bit more natural approach. I've also sort of had to like loosen the reins on like the timing of it all. It's like, since I had kids, like life is just different. And so I actually find a lot of benefit for me. Like I tend to do my meditating like midday or even end of day as more of like a regroup or a calm down situation. But yeah, I think at different points in life you might approach it differently, and that's kind of what Gabe and I like to drive home. It's like, use it to work for you, not like against you, if that makes sense. Like you make it work in your life.
Interesting. And do your kids meditate? Can anyone meditate at that age too? Like,
sure, they try.
Yeah. How does it work? They're hard to focus as a kid, I would imagine.
Yeah, I tend to do it when they're not like awake or around. Usually my husband, he's a morning meditator, but he will do it when like the kids are like, I think he thinks it's this challenge that if he can like do it while the kids are like running around him, so then they'll like sit in his lap and they'll do part of it and then they run around. So I figure we're showing them something even if they can't quite get the hang of it yet.
Got it. All right. We still
my oldest has a cool thing that he learned at school where they like take 3 deep breaths and then they cross their arms and they say calm down. And I just think cool. Like that's the perfect meditation for a little kid.
Yeah, my son did yoga last year in pre-K. So yeah, I guess it's good to start them young.
Totally.
Do you quickly want to share some maybe myths or misconceptions of a meditation that you all have heard of?
Yeah, I think some of these I took just directly from the Mindfulness in Plain English book. So I kind of can't say enough good things about that book. But I think the main one is that meditation is not for regular people. Like meditation is for very serious yogis, or meditation is for, holy people. Like meditation is literally for everyone. It is accessible, as I hope we've proven, to everyone. And it doesn't require formality, right? So that the idea that like you have to have an altar and you have to have a specific spot in your house, and like you can do it when you're picking up your kids at school. You can do it when you're at a red light in your car. It can be done at any time. Alison brought this up earlier, but the idea that there's a right way to do it. There's no right way. There's no wrong way to meditate. That taking that time for yourself and however it looks is going to be beneficial to you, no matter how it ends up. Even if you feel like the whole time you're like fighting against it, like that's just the process. That's just the learning experience. Yeah. And some days it is definitely like that. Am I missing anything, Alison?
I mean, those are the biggest ones. Our point is anyone can do it. Everyone should do it. There's no right way to do it.
It's not mysterious.
Just
it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a mystery. It's like jump in, make it happen.
All right. OneTreeYoga.com also to find out more about, you said your, it's Anne's meditation series. Can you tell us about that? And of course on YouTube.
Yep. Anne, she's teaching at our studio right now. She is leading a 4-week series. It actually started last night, but there's 3 weeks left, so people can hop in. It's all in person. So she's kind of guiding you through like introduction to meditation, or even those that already meditate, just kind of ways to deepen it. So it's going to be really great. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we do have some meditations on our YouTube channel. So that's free. You can check it out. And we try to get some meditation in the beginning and end of class too. So there's ways to like, eke it into your yoga practice if you're coming to do yoga.
All right. Thank you again, ladies. OneTreeYoga.com. Reach out. And again, check out their YouTube page. And for more information, do you want to share a phone number or anything else?
Best way to get a hold of us is probably through email, info at onetreeyoga.com. Feel free to shoot us an email. We'll get back to you.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Have a great day. To
Thanks.
all of our
Bye.
Thanks,
listeners,
Jill.
thank you.
See you next week.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.